Welcome to the Clappy and Frank Show, episode number 14. This is a very special episode. 14 is Yad, the number Yad, the strong arm, the Yad HaChazaka. The show is getting stronger and better by the week. Happy Chanukah. Today is the second day of Chanukah, and although Chanukah is the happiest special time of the year for children, Chanukah sadly...
And adults.
Sadly started off very sad this year. The first place to usher in Chanukah in Australia started off with a terrible, horrific tragedy. The Bondi Beach tragedy, where a friend of Lubavitch, a Chabad Shliach, friend of the whole world, Rabbi Schwenger, and a few other Chabad rabbis were murdered, brutally murdered, gunned down, and many of the people in the community were killed in the most barbaric, horrific attack perpetrated by Islamic Jihad. They should all be wiped out soonly and speedily in our days, and we should celebrate miracles. Today we have on a very special guest, Rabbi Zalman Drizin, a Chabad representative, famous Shliach, social media sensation, viral many times, who's a Chabad Shliach to Flatbush for about 25 years. And on top of that, he's the rabbi in the Beth-El congregation. The Beth-El congregation in Flatbush, where he's the rabbi, prestigious rabbi, everybody loves him, very popular. And his wife is from Sydney, Australia, and the family goes back to Australia about 100 years. So Rabbi Drizin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And as representing the entire Chabad world of hundreds of thousands of Jews around the world, the first Shliach to be on our show after this, and tell us your thoughts, raw thoughts.
Nistarim Darchei Hashem. Hashem's ways are very hidden. He's infinite, and his calculations are in an infinite mind. So when your mind is infinite, there's no way even AI is going to grasp the end of something infinite. AI also has its limits. So we're never going to understand why a father who is preserving a nation for thousands of years, despite all this type of stuff, by a father with such love, preserving a nation so lovingly, which only love could preserve us so many thousands of years. As you see, we'll never understand why he could do such a thing. So the immediate approach is, Vayidemar, and you're supposed to, shut up your mind and not question, accept it, and continue loving the Jewish people, and continue loving the Torah, and continue loving Hashem. That's the real Avodah now.
Moshe was on the phone yesterday. I'm in the car with him. I hang out with Moshe a lot. We do a lot of business together. And Moshe was on the phone with his Rav when I got into the car. And he asked his Rav, tell me, Rabbi, we know the Gemara talks about thousands of years ago that Shluchei mitzvah einam nizakin. The Gemara says it.
Great Rabbi Shalom Zirkin.
The people that are doing the will of Hashem, and you're doing a shliach mitzvah, like if you're driving on the highway to do a mitzvah, usually you're not supposed to get into a car accident or get a speeding ticket. I'm not saying to drive 130 miles an hour. Over here, every single person at the event was shluchei mitzvah. They were there for the mitzvah of Pesumei Nissa. The Torah says the way you commemorate Chanukah is on the streets, which is very controversial because when the Rebbe started calling for large menorah lightings around the world, like all these Gedolim were saying, no, we do it quietly, which is so funny. It's amaratzis, because the Gemara says, al Pesach beis bachutz. We do the Chanukah Mivtzayim outside. So these people all came to spread the word of Hashem, to spread the miracles, and all the rabbis that were there. The rabbi that was one of the rabbis that were killed, Rabbi Schwenger, a few minutes before that, there's pictures of him putting on phone with people. So just... people are turning to rabbis. I'm putting you on the spot. The Gemara says, Shluchei mitzvah einam nizakin, and over here they were in middle of a mitzvah, and they were killed. So I understand Vayidemar, and we're supposed to take Hashem's way, but on a superficial, a basic level, could you explain that?
Well, first of all, the Gemara says a story of one of the greatest Chachamim who became not frum because he saw somebody doing the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKan, and he died while he's doing it, and the reward for the mitzvah in the Torah is to have a Arichas Yamim. So whoever's questioning it, it's a big question. But at the same time that you don't have a clear answer, I don't have a clear answer, it doesn't diminish the fact that when you do a shlichus mitzvah protects you, it's like a metal detector in the airport. When you hear a plane was hijacked, heaven forbid, or it blew up, Chaz Shalom, Chaz Chalila, Hashem protect us. So you don't say, hey, where was the metal detector for me? You say that, but you'll still go into a metal detector on your next trip. So when you perform a mitzvah, it definitely adds a level of protection. Sometimes there's a decree, again, from an infinite mind, who's infinitely kind, which begs the question how it works. But since it's from an infinite mind, it's like you'll never figure out the calculation.
You had a public menorah lighting last night outside your congregation, correct?
Sunday night.
How many people were there?
Probably 70 people.
Were you scared?
During the day, I got a little worried, so I started to scramble for security. So by the end, interesting thing happens. It's interesting you asked this because somebody I know, who I know does not take these tragedies well, he calls me every time there's a piece of news, and I didn't have patience to answer him because I was busy preparing for the menorah lighting. And I figured, you know what? This is when he needs me. I don't care what a rush I'm in. He's a frum guy living in Flatbush, 50 years old or whatever, married with a kid. And I said, I got to answer this phone call. He's not a wealthy guy.
He brings you drama.
He's very dramatic. He's a Zizkite, but come on, it's not my first rodeo with him. And I said, I have to find time. And this is after I gave up on security. Because the regular security of the shul, which we do have, every single Shabbos, we have hired security.
Who pays the shul?
The shul pays. It's a very special board over there, very great people. Beth-El Jewish Center, Avenue T in Homecrest. It's mamish by East 12, near Coney Island Avenue, on the corner of Avenue T. So every Shabbos, there's armed security, professional, former police. And they couldn't get a hold of the regular people because the whole thing was short notice between when it happened. It happened the first night of Chanukah in Sydney, and here we are making an event the first night of Chanukah in New York, so we didn't have a lot of time. So I answered this fellow on the phone, and first thing is he starts just crying like a baby. I don't mean like a baby. I mean to say he was crying very hard, and justifiably. And when he finished crying, I just calmed him down. And suddenly, a few minutes in, he's like, "Do you need security?" Meanwhile, I'm running around the whole morning. I was like, "I actually do." He says, "I know a detective in the precinct here. I'm taking care of it." And before you know, we had a full police van with sirens on. Everybody felt better. It was a freezing night. It was a very big crowd considering
About
what happened.
12 degrees, if I remember.
It was a
crazy
freezing night, and considering we were shocked at what a big crowd there was, considering what just happened and the weather.
Zalman, what's it like as moving from an independent rabbi, as a Shliach, moving into a congregational rabbi position? How is that transitioning do for you?
It's like, for me, it was being just an outreach yid, just standing on the corners, which I still do. I still put on tefillin. I walked with my tefillin a few days ago. I have to go to the store a few days ago. I was carrying my tefillin. And yeah, when the weather is good, but going from there, it was not structured for me. There's a lot of shluchim who have a very structured community. I'm in Flatbush. They don't need my mikvah, and they don't need me to build a new shul, and they don't need me to build a new school or preschool. So what is my job? Excuse me. So my job is just to be there for Yidden. So that is my job, and it still is my job. And at the same time, it wasn't structured. So it added the level of it should be structured, meaning there's a schedule, and every Shabbos you have to show up.
Listen, he just left his job. So.
It's very good to have structure, because then you could pursue all those bigger ideas you have, which
within a framework.
Meaning you're within a responsible lifestyle, where you're showing up somewhere and you're providing a service or a benefit to a community on a regular basis. Then you could go and do all your side hustles.
What would you recommend if a Chabad rabbi get offer a job position in a structured, with shul with the board? Or you give them some tips. You just
a pulpit rabbi.
Pulpit rabbi. You used to be shliach, running around tefillin, and suddenly you have to board and you have people to answer to. What's that experience like for you?
It's very healthy for a lot of the unstructured rabbis because there's something called Eides de Tayu, and Lubavitch has that superpower of pushing the envelope, breaking the boundaries, saying what's not usually said, that's more honest and more emes. And sometimes you're so on that end of the spectrum in your style, you're sort of removed from certain people. They cannot handle you. So having this opportunity, Moshe, it adds an element where you could bring down a lot of your Eides de Tayu, your ideas, your belief in Hashem that's firm. Chabad, Chassidus, based on belief that Hashem is infinite, like I said. His Chachma is infinite, His Chesed. You could bring those ideas down, you could trickle them down to regular people, in a way that they can handle it because of your style now, your new style, your structured style. It has a tremendous benefit.
How's your newfound celebrity status in social media?
You know, it's funny. When I tried to do it myself, Moshe, it didn't work. When I took videos of myself, here and there, it didn't work. When I started to focus not on being a celebrity, that's suddenly when this story happened just 2 nights ago at the Menorah lighting.
Oh, your first viral video was, a few months ago, right?
That was with you. Again, it was you, your channel, you prompting me. Then I could focus on what I'm, Be'ezus Hashem, good at, my capabilities, when I have someone doing all that. I mean, what happened now Sunday night was amazing.
I want to just go back a step. Like Moshe always says, I go back to the history of it. The famous Drizin family, it's one of the most popular Chabad families in the world today. We're not going to go there.
Not wealthy?
Your father was a businessman. Your father was Rabbi Zalman Drizin, all of a shalom. Correct? Your sister, the famous Rachel Drizin Katz, they're Shluchim in Manhattan.
Great Shatchanim.
Great Shatchanim, yeah. I'm trying to get her on the show. It's just whatever. It's not happening. She's playing very hard to get. Yeah. Make a long story short, your grandparents were Mamish Meiser Nefesh Al Kiddush Hashem, Avram Ayar, the family going Mesiras Nefesh in Russia, Chesed for people, etc., etc. You grew up in Crown Heights in the Rebbe's Dalet Amos. You're a Chassidish Bacher. You learned a lot. Nigla, Chassidus. You're with it. You're on the ball, Miftzayim. You married another Lubavitcher, popular Lubavitcher family. Perlov, you said? Yeah. From Australia, talking about Australia.
Where are you going with this?
Where I'm going with this is that you grew up, you're going to be a soldier of the Rebbe. You're going to be a Rebbe soldier, you're moving out on shlichus. Guys moving to India, guys moving to Australia, South Africa. How did you decide that you're going to move on shlichus 10 to 20 minutes away from Crown Heights by car if there's no traffic? Explain me the rundown. You called up Merkus and said, I want to go on shlichus, and they're just drive down Coney Island for 10 minutes? I'm just curious how people end up in their shlichus.
And his sister also was Manhattan. Also within 20 minutes, so I guess.
Manhattan probably has a lure for all the money and big buildings in Wall Street. They're on Wall Street where all the money is. Yeah.
It's a good question, and I'll answer you. First of all, I'll answer you ideologically and then technically how it happened. Okay? You asked me how I ended up in Shlichus in Flatbush and how and why. Ideologically, meaning from my perspective, why I was pursuing that was because my father was not too well. I didn't want to go far away from him. Yeah. And me personally, the Mesiras Nefesh that Shluchim have, that they live where there's no kosher food and no chinuch, I can't handle that. That level of Mesiras Nefesh, people don't realize what they go through raising their own kids, going out with a new wife to such areas. It's tremendous Mesiras Nefesh. I don't know if I was ready for that. Between that and my father wanting to be in proximity to my father, I wanted to be local. So that's number one. Now, technically, where am I going to find something local? So I went to New Jersey. I met a Shliach, and it was considered. It went back and forth. It never panned out. Great Shliach over there. Very, very, very good. He really meant it. He tried, and then I landed back searching, but it was very limited what you could find. You mentioned I married a nice family. When you marry a nice family, if there are some connections there, utilize it. You're not being evil, but utilizing connections Hashem gave you. Turns out that my wife's grandfather was the head of Tzach.
What's the name?
Rabbi Moshe Pesach Goldman, Olav Shalom.
He was on the board of Tzach, or he was the head of Tzach?
He's not the head, but he was the treasurer of Tzach. He was very important.
You said the head of Tzach. There could be a dinner in 5 minutes.
I forget about the word head. He was from the heads of Tzach. And you're right. And he was a very Gahibani Yid. Like, the Rebbe trusted him with signing the checks. I spent time with him. He was a Ruchnizik person. He was unbelievable, real chassid, like a real, he was Kulei Kodesh. And he told me that there's Flatbush, there's a shul, Beis Menachem, Yosef Mas. Yosef Mas is a very benevolent Yid, a heartzik mensch with a big heart. I'm very close to him till today, actually. And he could support you a little bit in the beginning. And he actually supported me for more than the beginning. So I ended up meeting Yosef, and I ended up getting the official shlichus mitzat Tzach. Mom's right over here.
So your grandfather was influential that you should move to Flatbush. What year is this?
He wasn't even so influential.
What year is this?
20 years ago.
20 years ago to move to Flatbush, like live here, not live in Crown Heights, reside in Flatbush.
I moved there from the beginning.
You moved here as the official Chabad Shliach. To which part of Flatbush?
So
it's huge.
It's interesting. I moved to Avenue J, and I moved to East 14th Street. And I lived there for a long time. It was renting a house. 20 years later, I'm still on East 14th Street in a house that I bought just some blocks down, close to the
Beautiful.
King's Highway.
Beautiful.
So it's all Min Hashamayim. Spoke about 14 Yad, right?
Right.
East 14th Street is my personal house. And I want to point out to you a very interesting thing. How do you say a friend in Lashon Kodesh? I was thinking of saying the
Chaver?
or Yedid, right?
did.
The reason it says in Sfarim why it's called a Yedid is because Yad. Yads.
So what's it like being a rabbi in a strongly Syrian Jewish community? They're very insular people. They have their own rabbis. How do you deal with them, interact with them? What were your wins and losses?
When I see Sephardic Jews, I smile to them the way their Chabad rabbis smile to them in Hong Kong. And I say, come in, and they love it. Say you're a Chabad rabbi of the shul, so they feel welcome.
So when you came in,
intimidated.
When you came in, you were davening and working out of the mosque shul?
I was davening and working out of Yosef Shul, Beis Menachem, which is still going on now. They're actually almost done with a new shul. There's a Rav there now, Rabbi Yechon Marazov. They're actually looking for someone to dedicate the building for not a tremendous amount of money to have the official name. So if anybody wants to, you can contact me through them.
You're fundraising money for a competition.
Yeah, exactly, because I don't look at it like a competition. We're spreading the greater good for the Eibishter and for Chassidus.
Zalman, and social media did really well covering some really great topics. So if you don't mind, we dive into a few great ones. Number one, from the top, could we get your opinion currently on today's Shidduchim situation?
His sister won't come on to talk about Shidduchim, so we're going to have to get it from you.
Rabbi Zalman did really well on my social. I was shocked. I just walked over him and
Are
said,
you a Shadchan?
I'm not a Shadchan, but it bothers me that I don't find more time for it because I made a few Shidduchim. When I see, I have a special place in my heart for older singles. It's like, mamish, I don't even know how to swallow it.
It's a nice to neshama. I have friends in my grade that are still single, 40 years old.
My hope is that they don't take it to heart as much as I think they are. That's my hope, that maybe I'm more nervous about it than they are, maybe. I want to say something I said in my shul that was actually, I felt it was very deep. In Parshas Noach, and I'm saying this for the people that feel that they're at the end of the line and that there isn't much hope, Chad Shalom. So, of course, that's not the Jewish way, Chad Shalom. I know it's painful, but it's people who they passed that stage and not dating much, they sort of gave up. What's their value in Yiddishkeit? It's a very important question. There's a lot of singles now. What's their existential value? What's their validation?
Is it true? A lot of singles, once they get to certain ages, they're not married. They go off the derech. There's a very high percentage.
I don't know. I hope not. And I'll tell you something that I feel is a consolation, and it's emes. And actually, a Syrian guy, Raymond, who comes to our Ma'ariv every Friday night religiously, lives nearby, married guy. He loves being by L'Chadaydi by us, even though it's an Ashkenaz shul. I'm a Chabad rabbi. They feel comfortable. Everybody's welcome. So he actually pointed this out to me after I said a speech. It says in Parshas Noach, Ela Tildes Noach, here are the offspring of Noach. What should it say now? If you were writing the Torah, here's the offspring of Noach. What would you write after? Names. It doesn't do that. Noach ish tzaddik tamim hoye b'deresav. Noach was a wholesome tzaddik in his generations. Tell me Shem Cham and Yafes. Come on. Narvas. So Rashi has this question. And Rashi answers, because till the same shall tzaddikim ma'asim tevim, because the offspring of a tzaddik are his good deeds. So that's why after saying these are his offspring, it says he was a ish tzaddik tamim. What does it mean that his offspring is his ma'asim tevim? The answer is that your ma'asim tevim that you do in this world, to your block, to your home, to your cousins, to your relatives, to your community, they leave you a legacy. If you're a wealthy person, you built a shul, people are going to remember you for 2-3 generations. So someone pointed out to me, this person, this Sephardic guy, he says, and grandchildren, it also only lasts for 2-3 generations. Who knows, who has a good relationship with their great-grandfather? So if you're single and meanwhile you don't have children, remember, real acts of chesed that you're doing for people, it's going to literally live as long as someone's kids, and people are going to remember you through it. It's very important. It's not just if you have money, if you can provide a service to community, if you're a medical professional. Value add.
My question is,
what is with the older single? You're saying people should get married?
As far as the question itself, Meshi, I was hoping you would forget. having said what I said, how much it pains me, and I try to help as much as possible. There's a lot of the singles today are just making wrong decisions. Very unfortunate of who they want to meet and why they right away, say this is not for me. There's a lot to talk about that, and it's not their fault. They didn't get any coaching, any guidance, and it's a very big world now of males and females, and there's a lot of exposure online. So there's a lot of warped approaches of normal singles towards this issue.
So what's the normal way to go about it?
Okay, so I had a bacher who's 31 go out 2 weeks ago. He went out 3 times. It didn't work. He's a great guy. He only went out 3 times because I coached him. I don't have time for this. I'll be very honest with you, but I have to find time for it. And I'll always try, but you don't have to be a shadchan today. You know a bacher.
So you say they went what's the wrong approach? What's the right approach? You're implying
they'll say no to a first or second date based on reasons that would never fly 50 years ago, which resulted in a lot of good marriages. You don't have the experience of marriage till you're married, and there's a lot of coaching needed. Like, no, don't worry about that. It's okay. Meet him or her again. It goes on both sides. A lot of coaching that's needed. My sister actually coaches very, very well.
So you're saying after every date there should be some encouragement to try again, regardless if there's no hope and no shot, or is that what you're implying?
I once had a bacher and a girl where they wanted to break the dating of 3-4 dates or almost break it. Like, they were really questioning because he wore a sweater and it was very old-fashioned and it reflected a very old-fashioned person or something. Is that what goes on in people's minds today? Luckily, the other side had supportive, healthy parents.
I'm out.
I should have not worn a sweater today.
I wear sweaters. Actually, my wife doesn't like it, so that's why I'm not wearing one now. I understand. There's a concept.
Because they told me white shirts on.
There's a concept like that. You agree? 60-year-old kid, a 70-year-old kid, and he's wearing a sweater. There's nothing wrong.
They end up getting married after that.
Yeah.
Oh, they did.
And
the sweater was not the.
but I had to. But I had to deal with it. I had to deal with it, and that's just an example. There's hundreds of examples. There's people brushing off ideas, and they're single.
Tom, do you think
very tragic?
Rich families should only meet rich families, or poor people could also marry rich families? What's your opinion of that transaction?
I don't think rich families should only help a poor family. Marry a poor boy or girl and give them a good life.
Do you think
hopefully a good life.
The dynamics are off if one family is wealthy, the other one's poor? Do you think they have too much control and down the road could be trouble?
Sometimes there are issues like that, but usually you respect money because money can provide you a lot of brachas in marriage. So.
I read in the papers that the Shemus that come to all the shows every Shabbos. I read a story a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That the Tzemach Tzedek was, I guess he was in the Chinuch Parsha, and at the same time, a chassid came to the Alter Rebbe. The Mittel Rebbe was in the Chinuch Parsha. A chassid came to the Alter Rebbe, and he said that he's poor like a church mouse, and he has 3 daughters that are getting older, and he mamish doesn't have any money. In those days, he needed cash money to support if you had daughters, you'll support the husbands and learning, etc., whatever. So the Alter Rebbe said, "I'll solve your problem. You're poor. I'll let your daughter marry my son." So that's one shidduch solved. And then the other 2 daughters, they're married into a hot family. They'll have an easy time with shidduchim. So what you just said as like a kind of joke, we mamish saw it by the Rabbeim's house. But I think a lot of rich people today, they would be very hesitant to make a shidduch with like a poorer family. They're like, oh, we have a lot of money. Like, we worked hard for our money. Why are we going to marry somebody? I think that there's a lot of... I saw a family in Crown Heights. 2 families in Crown Heights, do not mention names. I don't want this show to be cancel culture. But they're rich, and every shidduch they make, it's somebody 20 times richer than them. And then I see other families that don't only marry rich families. I really think that besides the Daryah Sharm test, people literally look for bank statements to see how wealthy the family is, and it's disgusting. I'm saying...
Or discussing it.
No,
value.
But let me say something already. I made enough enemies. I'll make some more enemies. if every Tom, Dick, and Harry is able to get married 23, 24, 25, if girls that are 39 years old, like there wasn't like every guy was the wrong guy, or the parents are really standing in the way and ruining it. I think there's some parents out there that don't want their kids to get married. So every resume is an issue. Or the daughter has commitment issues, And instead of them getting her the help, they like feed into it. Maybe they enjoyed it. Why is there like, out of 200 girls in Beis Rivka every year, 20 years later, there's the 9 girls that are still single? Like, oh, punk them.
The last two things are unfortunately true. Both that the kids themselves, I'm calling them kids, the children themselves have issues, and that a lot of times the parents support them with the issues instead of stopping them. I don't know about the fact that rich are only marrying rich. I think you have a lot of rich people who dafka want to marry someone not rich. So he or she who's rich is the boss in the house. So it works a nice dynamic duo that flows. Everybody knows where the money is and where the respect comes from. So you've seen, and I think Teichendike people who are wealthy will not look at money. Maybe they'll dafka look at no money, like I'm saying. But yeah.
Interesting.
From marriage, let's move over to Shalom Bayis, Rabbi Zalman. Could you give us some Shalom Bayis advice?
Shalom Bayis advice. That's another.
I'm hitting the topic only because they did so well on my Instagram. I want to.
It's similar to how they brush off shidduchim and how divorces are happening today for most foolish reasons. You know, there was a yid. His name was Avram Aaron Brook. You remember him? He used to come to Beis Menachem all of a sudden. It wasn't short, no.
Brooke, we waited to all the Brooks.
Yeah, he's a Lubavitcher, and he passed away during COVID. So very wise yid. He told me that he.
Which hospital was he in?
He told me that he told me this himself. Ich zelang Yarn. He told me that he knew 2 couples a few years apart, and one of them came to him that they're getting divorced, and I think they got divorced. And when he interviewed them, I don't know why they came to him. He didn't tell me. It looks like he knew them both. It turns out these 2 couples were friends, and the one who got divorced, the lady, she complained that her friend's husband opens the door for her, and just more respectful to her. Like he's more present for her. And her husband is a klutz. He's a Shliach. He's not a mensch. So he said, I turned to this woman, well-intentioned woman. I said, do you realize he's 4 years ahead of you in marriage? In 4 years from now, if you would have given it a chance, your husband's going to be there. He's going to learn how to tailor himself towards your needs and what's important for you and what's not. You're going to. It's like he told me that's a typical example of why marriages are falling apart. Give the couple a chance to learn each other, to respect each other. Don't make quick decisions. Divorces in the beginning, in the first 10 years of marriage, are very scary because a lot of times they're impulses, and things really, really. The Rebbe once said that he saw real bonding between, I think the Rebbe said 7 years and up between a husband and a wife. If you make any drastic decisions about your wife or husband until 7 years, you might be tearing with your hands the biggest bracha Hashem ever gave you, because the woman eventually and the husband eventually learn how to love each other and how to be there for each other in the right way and how to tolerate each other, and it turns into respect and it turns into real genuine love.
So you give us some tips on for Shalom Bayis, assuming that you're Shalom Bayis.
Okay, so one Shalom Bayis tip is, this is very important, okay, and it ties into Sydney. And I was thinking about it today when you told me, I asked you, we're not prepared for the. Moshe, you went over to me today to have this conversation.
We've been dating a while.
We've been dating, that's true. But I had to figure out driving here.
We do a trick. We tell people, we warm them up to the idea of coming on the podcast, but we know they won't sleep for a week before. So we book a studio, and then the morning of, we chop them.
I wasn't even warmed up over here. As he's saying, he's broached this subject over the last year, half a year. I didn't expect Moshe to say, "Are you available now?" And I feel indebted to Moshe. I feel he's one of the social media people that I know. Clappy, you're like that too. I'm getting to know. He's a deeply kind person. When I was at one of the expos in New Jersey, someone went over to me and said, "He's such a tzaddik, this Moshe Frank." Moshe is good-hearted in real life. He's not just a social media guy.
When I had my travel agency, Zalman was kind enough to introduce me to some great Syrian clients.
Yeah.
And other people,
who
I made a lot of parnassa from.
Moshe, I saw Zalman in 770. He's going to be embarrassed and blush multiple times, taking hundreds of hours and stuffing it into people's pockets. Like, well, Yutzlach, people that have no parnassa. And he didn't know that I was watching it, and I caught him in the act multiple times.
So here's the Drizin. Even though
It's a Drizin. It's a kind-heartedness. It's all the chesed pours off their face. Rabbi Heller one time said, the Chashiv Rav, the Rosh Koyel in Crown Heights, I heard Rabbi Heller say, I didn't hear it, but he tells it to young couples, that the biggest mistake young couples do is they get married, Sheva Brachas ends, and they start having Shabbos meals with other young couples. And then the wives and the husbands see how other couples treat each other, and they say, I don't get treated that way, and it's downhill from there. So in your many, many years serving as a Rav, do you see that? Is that a real, do you see it in your own?
Very, very, very unhealthy when you're building a foundation to tamper with it. The foundations have to be solid concrete. That's how you build a building. You can't play around with foundations. Later on, you could change windows, repaint, everything above the foundation. If you don't have your 7 years of building your relationship in a healthy way without being exposed to other people that might draw you and might make you compare, you're just not fair. You're unfair to yourself and to your wife or to your husband.
Any tips how to deal with in-laws?
I'm sorry, we didn't finish the tips of the Shalom Bayis.
Oh, Sean, I'm sorry.
Unless you want to hear the in-laws first.
No. What's here?
Shalom Bayis or in-laws?
No. Go back to the Shalom Bayis. Stick to the Shalom Bayis.
Okay. So I was thinking when I was driving here, in short notice, about Shalom Bayis, and it pertains also to Sydney, since you mentioned it. Rabbi Manis Friedman, he's actually doing a whole fundraiser now, right, online. It's good to know.
Who's not making a fundraiser?
No, but but it shows you how little money.
Our competitions all do fundraisers. I think we should do an end of year campaign.
But it shows you how little money influencers can make. Yeah. He made a goal of. They made a goal of 5,000. So better monetize it. I'm just telling you. He made a goal of 5,000 donors because he has millions of views. He's spreading Kedusha his whole life, positivity, Kedusha. And they got 1,000 something, or maybe now it's 2,000 donors. They're barely squeezing out, a quarter of the goal.
We got to help them.
Absolutely. I donated something, but I'm just saying that so when I mentioned it to somebody, so someone told me there's two types of influencers. There's the controversial ones who are posting things that are not okay, and they're into money from day one. And a yid like him was never into money, even before his whole YouTube. He was always there to teach Torah and translate Farbrengens. So, he says something about marriage. He says like this, that a boy and a girl fall in love, and it's phenomenal. They just love their each other's company, and they date, and they hang out, and they watch movies. He's talking to the broader world. And then they make a decision. The
Babachers do not watch movies. Disclaimer.
And he says, and then they decide they're getting married. He said, everything makes sense. How did marriage come into the picture? He says, I don't understand. He's great. He's fun. He's providing. He's taking you out. He's spending time. He's traveling to Italy with you. Who needs marriage? I think the example he uses is, I love you, you love me, so let's go ride a horse. He says, Ma kesher, you're going to ruin it. Why are you moving in? Everything's perfect. So he says, you don't get married because you fell in love. You get married because you believe in the foundation. You fell in love, he says, not with the other person. You fell in love with the foundation of marriage, with the idea of marriage. That's why you get married, for falling in love with marriage. What's marriage? You believe that this person is actually, like the Rebbe said, it's one neshama that got created in heaven, and then it split. One landed in Australia, in Israel, in Montreal, in Crown Heights, on another block, and then one landed in New York City. And then these two souls, these two people meet together, and it gets reunited again. So you believe that your spouse, husband or wife, whoever you are, is pasha a half of you. Now, you love them because of that. You love someone who's so connected to you, just like you love a father. You don't only love a father because of what he provides for you, because of the toys he buys you, or because he took you to Florida if he's more well-to-do on the midwinter vacation. You love a father. You find this out when you're older, just because he's so deeply connected with you. That's why you love your wife or your husband. They're so deeply connected with you. Now, this also pertains to what happened in Sydney. You didn't tend to love Hashem for transactional purposes. It's a give and take relationship. Hashem provided me such an unbelievable life he provides for us. Look at Yidden now. Look at Yidden now in comparison to many years ago in Russia. He provides so much health and so much nachas and so much money. Look at the Jewish community. We're a role model. That's a great reason to love God, and you're supposed to thank Hashem day and night. But
At the same time, that's when you get older, you find out your love to Hashem is much deeper than that. You love him because he's so part of you. Shalom bayis, is not only because the husband is providing or because the wife is cooking and taking care of the kids. Shalom bayis is because they're part of you. And if you know that, you're not running anywhere. You want to stay home and be home as much as possible because you're being home with something that's so part of you. People have that Torah perspective. You can have tremendous shalom bayis, and then you learn how to just tolerate and be respectful because you want to maintain the closeness with someone who's so part of you.
Zalman, a big personality like you, how do you get along with in-laws? Or Australia is far enough and...
Very good. You answered your question. I said it's set up in the most safe way possible. If you think about it, that's as far as you could go on planet Earth.
I tried that with England, but then
they moved here. My in-laws moved here. They moved the block up to 3 blocks from me. I had them in England for so many years, and now we have them down the block. Baruch Hashem, we get along perfectly fine.
You know what? I think if you know that someone who's so part of you, which is your wife or husband, came to the world through those two people. So the Rebbe once told Sally Rotter, Ashver is ben mechabed v'atate. You'll respect your father-in-law like a father. So you'll get along with the in-laws unless, you have difficult people. So sometimes the way to get along with them is by avoiding them as much as you can and just being there when it's not confrontational and when it's positive. It's a story of it's social skills across the board. It's also with in-laws. Sometimes there are issues and people are trying to hurt you. Consult a professional.
Just a disclaimer, a few episodes ago, we had on somebody from England. We were talking about Chabad in England over the last 100 years. And I made a mistake. I said that my in-laws came through Chabad, and they came close to Chabad, through Chabad in England, but they were always from. So, Chevra, I don't want the great-grandchildren to suffer. My in-laws were always from Shemrei Torah Mitzvahs. Disclaimer. Yeah.
Zalman, how do we raise good kids?
Someone told me that today, Clappy, you don't have to worry about that stuff. As long as you have a lot of money, the Gazha is going to come running for you. You could be a ger.
Kayin before, and I'm Aris Talmud Chacham before a Kayin, you're saying if the new currency in Lubavitch is a lot of cash.
Listen, it's a joke, but at the end of the day, people want a mentally healthy spouse for their children. And it's very important to look out for mental health. And don't be afraid of someone, if someone needed some help to make sure that they're all there with all their faculties and they're functioning perfectly. Sometimes it's better than the unknown. So you have to be wise about it.
There's a new phenomenon. Maybe it was always, but I'm seeing it a lot. You have families. It's normal. You have families. One sibling is worth $1 billion. One sibling is in Section 8 on food stamps. One sibling is middle income class. And people would always ask me or other people, whatever, money plays a very big role in our day-to-day life. So now it's like income inequality, like it's a big topic around the world. It can have a very, very negative effect on a husband or on a wife. They see one sibling is a multi-billionaire and they're trying to buy their kid new boots for the winter. How do you and every single family is affected by this. You might have relatives that are worth billions. You do or you don't. I don't know exactly. I don't want to look at the financials. We're not going there. But I'm saying, you're talking to a very, very large crowd. We have a very big platform. And people from, not from, and, you're in the Chabad community, et cetera, et cetera. I want to know and everything you say is very, very talented and gifted, and you have a good message. This is a very big topic. What do you tell people that are not comfortable in their skin, potentially, because of another relative's major success?
I mean, the way to stand up and be taller is not by pushing someone else down. The moment you're putting down that wealthy relative to your spouse to say he's wealthy, but I'm validating myself. I have value. You're already in the wrong track. It's not going to end well. If the spouse that you married is very shallow, and has no depth to them. So, A, why did you marry them? And B, now that you did, teach them, you could teach depth. You could talk to them about me and you, and I'm here for you. And honestly,
we're not only talking about the wife, the husband also might be uncomfortable.
I understand. Honestly, in this world, Clappy, what children and couples really need more than anything is you having time for them. Speaking about Shalom Bayis, if you're going to provide time to your spouse, real, patient, like really be present there emotionally, that person is going to have everything they need in the world in their own mind, even if you don't have all that money, because that's what people want. That's what kids want. When kids see someone else's kids have a lot of toys and everything, and they start screaming at you, you think it's because you're not providing all those toys. Usually it's because you're not providing this kid time. If you would have been providing all the time a child needs, sitting with them, saying stories, looking them in the eyes, singing songs with them, answering their questions, they wouldn't feel that they need all that money of their friends.
The gems are finally coming out of this podcast. You know, you're getting all normal.
So you're talking now. So
This is what you're waiting for.
So a girl in Flatbush, 32 years old. Her husband's working. ComCom making $74,000 a year. The kids are like ComCom making tuition. They're selling raffle tickets to get the kids to go to summer camp. And they live in a 3-bedroom. That's most of their money. And then she has another brother-in-law, some rich Syrian guy, has a construction company, and they make $23 million a year. And they're in deal. They're on flights, first class, Chanukah vacation. And your kid has to go to the Ellis Island. You know, he has to go on the boat for a Chanukah vacation and go to Bravo Pizza. You know, that's his vacation. You're saying as long as you show your kid love and you're there for them, they don't care about the other guy's private jet. That's not what's talking to a 9-year-old.
They only care about it. They care about it, but it's a passing need. I wish I did that. I wish, Tati, you could also take us to that vacation. But it will be passing. It's only pressing because there's a void. But if that void will be filled with you, Hashem gave you all that capability of providing everything your kid needs all in your own home. It's emotional needs. That's what kids... and a wife and a husband, even a husband, they won't say it. They're too proud. The husband needs a wife to be present for them too. But a woman especially needs it, and children, their children especially need it. Provide that real, like, don't rush. They'll feel like they're on top of the world.
What happened in the Frum Jewish community that every single guy thinks he has to be a multimillionaire? And if you're not a multimillionaire, it's like go be a cash advance guy. You go to the mikvah, you go to shul. The conversation changed that everybody's supposed to be a multimillionaire. There's not supposed to be a guy that does 9 to 5 in Kriya Sittim. Do you feel that as a rabbi? Is that what happened in the Frum community?
They're right for wanting to be millionaires. Parshas Truma, Tashin Nun, Beis, the Rebbe came out in 770 in front of the cameras, and he said that every Yid has to do what he can to have kesef v'zav, gold and silver. It's this day and age, Hashem provided an abundance of opportunities. So they're right for wanting to be wealthy. I don't know about wealthy, but for wanting to have a ashirus, abundance of everything they shouldn't have to worry. They're absolutely right, and Hashem absolutely provided tremendous opportunities pretty much to almost or everyone to be very successful, which is a whole very painful subject, why people are not utilizing opportunities. Again, brushing off opportunities, just like shidduchim and just like issues in marriage. The brush off is like the biggest plague these days. This brushing off, impulsive response to things, but they don't make vessels for it. They're talking about money. They want to have a lot of money. There's certain, you have to refine a skill. You have to provide a service in the world to make that money. Just to want to make the money is not going to get you far. I want to say something interesting. Because this applies to shidduchim, to brushing off opportunities in business, and to shalom bayis. There's something called impulse. It's a very impulsive generation. Maybe Yidden especially are impulsive because we're emotional. I used to think that my first impulse to a question, to an opportunity, is correct. And whatever I decide, that flies, and I'll prove it.
Intuition.
As I got a little bit older and I went through life and a little bit wiser, I realized that usually my first impulse is wrong. And if you think about it and you digest it...
You shouldn't trust your gut?
At the beginning, absolutely not. If you thought about it for 10 minutes, for an hour, give yourself even an hour, you could trust your gut at a certain point. But there's so many impulses that are controlling, and that's what the Rebbe meant, I think, when he said everybody should be full of gold and silver. There's so many opportunities that everybody has, and they're brushing it off, and people asking them to do this job and things that could open doors, and that doesn't fit me, or the wife doesn't like it, or the husband doesn't like it, or it's not the fikvede, and they're branded, living miserable without all the kesef and zav that's waiting for them.
So I think you kind of said that every single person should become a multimillionaire, and like people that are, you should at least try. And if you're not, you're giving up on opportunities because
there's certain people who are really capable of teaching children very, very well. I don't think they're avoiders to become a millionaire. I do think, like it says in Shara B'tachan, that if they're going to do what they're good at, which is teaching in Halateda, let's say a whole day, they have amazing teachers now, really do. And the kids love them, and they're soaking in everything as a sponge. I do think that if they're going to make some side hustles to make money, Hashem is absolutely going to provide it for them because they're doing their real capability.
they finish at 4:00 in the afternoon. They go to bed at 1 a.m. They could have a great side hustle in the evenings.
That's right.
Right.
Then there's some people who will go and be a teacher in some school and only because they didn't want to push the envelope. They didn't want to make themselves, because they brushed off good opportunities. So everybody suffers then. He doesn't become rich, and the kids don't have such a good teacher.
Well, what's the common denominator?
It's in every job, not just in education. Yeah.
What's a common denominator of people you see that are wealthy? What's the personality type?
I think today you have the most gentle, humble people in the wealthy genre that ever existed. In the olden days, someone wealthy was a very big, arrogant boss. Today, it's just a bunch of regular people. Like Happy said, Hashem sprinkled money like just between a bunch of regular people today. You can have a regular person with money. It could get to him and change him a little bit. It could alter certain things, but overall, it's regular people. Today, the person with the money, I know some people with money, and I know some people with big money, and regular people, mamish regular people, the only thing they're not regular about is they didn't go by impulse. They made calculations, how to make the money, and they also made themselves uncomfortable. They didn't let all these hang-ups that make people brush all opportunities off. They didn't let that get in the way at all. There's a statistic, I heard this from my brother-in-law, that when you bite your lips in a conversation, for your benefit, whether it's financial, that's usually when the money, like the oil, is squeezed out of the olive. Whenever, that's what I'm saying. Don't judge your impulse. Oh, my gut tells me it's not for me. So usually, I don't know about you. I could for sure talk for myself, but I could show you quite a few people who, by impulse, too many people, will right away brush something off, and usually know that's absolutely just perfectly right to bring them a lot of bracha. Not only that immediate brachas that it will bring, open doors. If you're uncomfortable with it, these wealthy people I know, they're regular people, but they knew how to bite their lips and do what's
out of their comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Tommy, you're in the business world, right?
I don't invest money into things. I'm not a business, but I bring people together in real estate.
How do you balance that?
I was in a meeting in Westchester a few weeks ago. You had a lady over there who's on one of the executives of the UJA. She has a big piece of land, yeah, and there was Yiddish investors, and this lady was obviously Jewish, and her son was there, and her brother was there, and I was there with my tefillin. And I made such a good atmosphere because the Jews, and I made myself a goal. It was a long meeting, and it was after waiting a few months. And I made myself a goal that I got to get these people to put on tefillin. It looks like tefillin is not in their order of the day at all. It's not even in their list of to-do things, when you're older. And my main focus was on the brother. He's like the owner also of all the property. And I was like, how am I going to get such a Manhattan type of Jew who's 60, how am I going to ever get him to put on tefillin? I made it so warm, and I said something beautiful about Yiddishkeit every once in a while. I made them laugh, and then I had a chance in the middle of the meeting. I had an opening. I was like, I don't want to say his name on because it's still relevant, B'ez Hashem. So I said, and we're going to get you to put on tefillin at the end. And it was so light, he was quiet, and he was
closing. At the closing.
And by the
subject to the closing, or
by the end, it was just for a contract. And by the end, B'ez Hashem, and by the end, he and his son-in-law, he and his nephew, they both put on tefillin. And he told me it's his first time putting on tefillin since his bar mitzvah. Because here I am in a business setting, I am clearly identifying as a rabbi who's also facilitating people coming together.
Deals.
So he has respect.
In English. Brokering deal, yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the contract. They're calling me a consultant on the commission agreement. That's Hashem. Broker is like a title.
The biggest addiction in the entire world today, the biggest addiction that plagues everybody, all denominations, is the cell phone addiction. It's Ever Menachai. It's part of our body. We're holding on to the thing 24 hours a day. We're eating with it, sleeping with it, going to shul with it. Chazaras Hashatz is taking too long.
There's a study that there's certain chemicals that come out of come into a person's brain when they're in bed with somebody. Yeah, so a wife, etc., and that those same Rabbi Shekalov said this. The psychologist, those same chemicals come out when you lay down with your phone. How scary is that?
Wow. So
it's very unhealthy.
You're a spiritual advisor. What do you recommend?
You recommend dumb phones?
No, not at all. I'm a big fan of smartphones.
You are?
Of course.
Why?
Hashem gave you a tool, an amazing tool. Why? 2 nights ago, one lady who came to the menorah lighting, she took a video of my speech about expelling darkness, and today, how many views is it?
Over 100,000.
Over 100,000. So, and literally dozens of comments of positivity. We need more Jews to spread more light now in the world. It's unbelievable. Yidden from Australia, from America, writing. It's all because of a smartphone. What do you mean? I'm not a fan of giving a smartphone to teenagers because, again, it's the foundation. Don't tamper with foundations. But what's wrong with a smartphone?
No, the issue is that it used to be that if I wanted to go to a computer, I would have to log into a desktop. So when I wasn't going to a computer room to play with my computer or do a business deal, I wouldn't walk around with this big computer that weighed 20 pounds. Then I got a laptop a little bit easier. Today, my iPhone is my calculator. It's where I do business. It's where I check tracking for my customers. It's where I bid on auction sites to buy stuff for my customers. It's where I get money from investors. Everything is the smartphone, that little few-inch piece of things. So if you're not like actively giving your kid a bath or changing a diaper or preparing dinner, you're on it. It's 24/7. I'm talking about myself. I'm terribly addicted, and I'm sure another 5 billion people are. Yes. How do you separate?
Okay, we do very well with addicted people.
I'm going to answer you what I think is a little piece of advice. When you're with your kids, put your phone in your jacket in your dining room or in your kitchen. When you go to sleep, also put your phone in your dining room or in your kitchen. I most nights I do not take my cell phone upstairs to my second floor.
But you're paid to be a rabbi of a congregation. What happens if, God forbid, there's a massive emergency with one of your congregants? How are they supposed to reach you?
Come knock on my door, start ringing the bell.
They should come knock on your door.
What happened before cell phones? And people have a home phone also in emergency. If you don't publicize the number, so people could call you if it's a true emergency. But I'm a big fan of leaving the phone. I don't always do it, but most nights I think I leave it on the first floor. I go up, and for the first 5-10 minutes, because of this constant, which you call an addiction, which is true to a certain degree by everyone, and you feel a void. Like you can't check up anything, but Clappy, 10 minutes in, you forget about it, and you look for a book to read, and you look to talk to a family member, you look to take a nap. It's great. It's phenomenal. You take a Rambam, a Chitas, Chumash, you read a storybook. You have to adjust. You don't have that instantaneous gratification of colors and media and multimedia.
Actually, Zalman Drizin, I right now, usually
black and white.
Black and white. My phone's black and white.
Makes it more boring.
Makes it more boring.
Believe it or not,
I didn't even know it existed.
Believe it or not. So you have to learn how to adapt it to that. Like that, you utilize it mainly for good things. When I was sitting on the couch last night with my kids after minute, I put my phone in what I need my phone for. So if you do that, at a certain degree, you're right. There will be a certain overusage.
On the social media viral videos, he's a lot more animated. Here he's like trying to act way too normal.
It's being PC.
Oh my gosh! So
another thing is we had one shliach.
If you hit the right nerves, maybe.
We had one shliach that became extremely successful.
By the way, guys, he's not this normal. It's purely for the camera.
We had one shliach on the show.
I disagree. Yeah.
He became a real popular deli owner. He owns a deli. 70, 80, 100 customers come in a day.
That was by far one of the best podcasts with Rabbi Jackson that I've ever watched, and one of the only podcasts that I listened to from beginning to end. It's one of the reasons I came here. That is providing such a service to the community. You guys don't even realize it's turning into a big schus. When Moshe goes around with his shorts trying to poke my buttons over there, No. What is it providing? It's making Moshe have his fun and it's entertainment. This is not just entertainment. This is inspiration. The things he said, Shliach, working so hard, he's full of Torah, you could tell. It's a very, very special podcast.
And then
One of my favorite.
Then another podcast was of course. There was one.
Moshe, it's true. It's very special. I think it's a big schus.
Another one is the Shliach on Shlichus for 50 years, Rabbi Eliezri, and he realized
I'm in the middle of listening to him.
how gifted and talented he was, so he went into publishing books. So you were on Shlichus for 20 years, and you got very close to a lot of people, and now you also became the rabbi of an official congregation.
Right.
So I asked the last few shluchim that we had on, what's your message to the 5,000 brothers and sisters shluchim around the world? How do they know if they're tapping into the success that they could be tapping into, where they should start vesting out, moving out a little bit into more stuff? No, it's a very big topic. A lot of shluchim ask me, like, where could I don't know nothing about this, but shluchim message me, Izzy, what could I do more in my area? I don't know. I have to work with Merkis maybe to how to help shluchim, but...
It's a very good question. It's a very important question. They say today in the world of commerce, e-commerce business, only the companies that are learning to adapt are the companies surviving and thriving. The person selling shmatas still in Empire State Building in an office, they're not making anything. They say a lot of the Amazon guys, and I'm not in the business, who are continuing the whole excitement of, the Amazon of 10 years ago are not making any money to survive. Ones who are adapting and they're realizing where there's unsaturated new frontiers in business, that's Ezo Chacham Eretz Hanela.
Or creating new products.
Creativity. Today, Shlichus is no different. If you're going to stand and do the same job that Shluchim are doing 40 years ago, financially, successfully, if you're going to draw a crowd, I don't know. But if you're going to adapt to what attracts people, what message they want to hear, and what programs they want to see, so definitely you should use your seichel,
Would you encourage Shluchim to get onto social media and do more videos and talk to the Olam, to the world?
Not everybody's good at it, Moshe.
So guys are not good at it.
I'm going to add something for Shluchim especially. And really it's also for Lubavitch Balabatim. But Moshe Kalarski, he came upstate and he was fabring, he was crying to us a few summers ago.
He came upstate where?
He came to Inner Circle.
Oh, you're the gabbai in the Inner Circle too.
Yeah.
The most hottest, most chashiv colony in the world. My friend Nussi Sternberg.
Nussi's great.
Had me
he's a
for
close
a
friend
week
of mine.
there for Shavuos. He had me, treated me like a king. I love Nussi.
I love Nussi too.
And it's mamish, the most beautiful colony.
I love Nussi because he's kind. It boils down to a person who really cares about other people. He's such a kind
Let me
man.
ask you a question. If I get invited to Inner Circle 1 and I daven in Inner Circle 2, is it okay?
Yeah, I think sometimes they come to us. Sometimes guys from us go to there.
But I heard there's a lot of achtas lately.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem.
But a second, Moshe Katmarski Ol Hashem came to Inner Circle 2.
He came to Inner Circle 2 all the time.
His brother-in-law, Hershkowitz,
That's
is
why.
there.
So two summers ago, he was begging us, it's the end of Galus, Hashem, according to textbook, it's big darkness. The way to communicate with big tzaddikim now is they're going to their graves. You have a massive tzaddik, write to the tzaddik all the things that you're doing. Everybody has good news to report. It's above him, I said, that a person in Crown Heights going to a job thinks that he doesn't have good things to report. He says, write Psudas Tevis down on a paper with your name and always constantly give it to a big tzaddik. To us, it's the Rebbe. You go to the oil, you give him a paper. That's how Hashem made it before Mashiach comes.
The Moshe is right by the oil.
Right.
So when you go to the oil...
there's no one who knew better than him about how to connect to the Rebbe, and he's begging us to write Psudas Tevis to the Rebbe. I think that I know shluchim who write Psudas Tevis to the Rebbe, and they're making proper, pragmatic, real kalim for money, adapting, thinking things that work, things that make money, things that bring people to your shul. Between writing to the Rebbe and that, you'll see such miracles, like tremendous nisim, spagashmas. The Rebbe has your back. He knows you. He's aware of you. The Rebbe knows everybody. Thank you. But
the natural tendency of people is that when something is bad, they call you up to complain and say how bad it is. But when things go well...
The Rebbe once wrote to a person that the reason why something bad happened to you is because you didn't write to me anything good, and Hashem wanted us to have a correspondence, so he gave you something bad. I saw the letter.
Whoa. So
they printed it in Dvar Malchus a few months ago. It's a year ago. You have to write to the Rebbe, whoever you are.
You still do the tabling on Kizari?
If the summer of the weather as well...
The thing I'm so impressed the first time I grew up in Flatbush, that this fancy Drizin branded rabbi is sitting on King's Highway.
Oh,
every
we're
day.
gonna forget. We are a corporate sponsor of the Clappy and Frank Show. Our longest consistent sponsor is CH Butcher. Last Thursday night, I went to the restaurant. They also have the beautiful Butcher restaurant on Troy Avenue. Better food than the top Manhattan restaurants. I didn't have to pay for babysitting for 10 hours. I didn't have to pay $80 for parking. I didn't have to fight in traffic.
Congestion all?
No congestion, nothing. It was 2 blocks from my house, top service, well heated, marble floors. The food was amazing. Priced as maybe even less than a Manhattan restaurant. Amazing.
Maybe even less.
Maybe less.
But the food was good. I remember you
Food
called
was
me right
5-star. I have no tips for the chef there. Everything is perfect. Perfect. In El Haza, nothing is perfect. The food in the Butcher restaurant, perfect. Have to Google it. It's on Troy Avenue. Butcher in Crown Heights has the best food.
Butcher.
I don't want to become fleishik. It's already my coffee. It's only at 2 in the afternoon. But beef jerky, every flavor is amazing. Who
Lot of
does?
protein.
Oh, FFH, the best Pesach program in the world. I'm going to be there this Pesach. They're 70% sold out. Don't forget, it's only 2.5 hours from most of Brooklyn.
Clappy for what?
I don't know what you get, but you get to see me all Pesach. I'll be there. It's going to be amazing. We have Shays Taub, Mordechai Dinnerman from JLI. We have Getzi Markowitz from Montreal Young Jewish Center, professionals, soup kitchen, whatever else he does there. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be Benny Friedman's going to be singing there this year.
Wow.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. It might even be sold out in the next few days. I don't know. Don't cry later. FFH Pesach program. It's upstate New York.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Zalman Drizin.
Shliach.
Chabad of
Freilich and Chanukah.
Flatbush, East Midwood.
One second. If you live in Flatbush, go to his shul.
Chabad at King's Highway,
If
and
you-
it's Beth-El Jewish Center.
Beth-El
at
Jewish.
Flatbush.
You're accepting more members?
Absolutely.
How much is membership there a year?
You have to. I'll give you the contact. But we don't. If someone can't pay, we work with them.
He's a lot more animated in person. Today he's trying to act normal. I don't know why.
One second.
You haven't
Smash
spoke-
that
haven't spoke to me in a
subscribe
while,
button. Actually, people have to subscribe. It's Mama Shara Parnasa. Smash that subscribe button, like button, forward button, share button, comment button.
Also, I want to put out a question. One of our sponsors suggested we should go back once in a while to just do me and you. So if you viewers have an opinion about the matter, do you think we should do once in a while just me and Clap?
Also, I got a cardigan. People told me I have to look more sophisticated. I got a beautiful cardigan. I'm not going to say who they didn't pay. But yeah, comment if you like the cardigan.
How you enjoying your unemployment?
It's not unemployment. I always worked 24 hours a day. It's self-employment. I am the artist of my own creation.
3 days unemployment? How many?
Who's counting while you're having fun?
Tuesday, 4th?
Moshe, we're going to the gym now. We got to go.
Okay, thank you very much for listening. Comment below if you think once in a while me and Clap should do a show without a guest.
A Freilich and Chanukah. Make sure to go to public menorah lightings and not be intimidated by the terrorists.
Thank you.
Thank you.